Joining me now is Michael Cohen, Donald Trump's former personal attorney and fixer. He's the host of the Mea Culpa podcast and author of the book Disloyal, a memoir, the true story of the former personal attorney to President Donald J. Trump. Michael, welcome. Good to be with you, brother, this fine morning. So
yes,
you and I,
fine morning, certainly a fine morning for Donald Trump and his coffers. That's for sure.
So you and I feel like have been a chorus of two. Me knowing how money is raised inside the Republican ether, and you knowing Donald Trump. So what's your reaction to the committee's findings regarding the official election defense fund?
Sure. I think you may also forget, you may be forgetting that I was also the vice chair of the RNC Finance Committee, despite the fact that I was actually a Democrat, right? I mean, so what do I think? Look, I've watched the Trump grift going on now for more than a decade, and they're not going to stop. I mean, it's just what he does. And it's sad to see that there are so many people out there that have so much faith in him after they see exactly what's going on. All you need to do is watch the January 6th hearings, and you start to see seriously what a menace that this man has been and how terrible that he's treated our country.
So you've got this revelation, all right, about this entity and all the money it's raised. Trump and his posse raising $250 million for this specific and very fake defense fund after the 2020 election. But according to the New York Times, money went to Donald Trump Jr. and Kimberly Guilfoyle. $60K to her.
Are you shocked?
No,
I'm
not shocked.
Anything there? Let me say this to you. I'm shocked. I am shocked because I'm shocked that Donald would allow Kimberly Gargoyle to end up with $60,000 or Don Jr. to end up. This is his money. I mean, the time that you send your money to anything that has his name attached to it, it's his money. And as we all know, Donald Trump doesn't like, to part with a single dollar, not whether it's to his children. Certainly, as you know, I have a lawsuit pending against Trump for monies that he still owes me for legal fees. I mean,
maybe you should call Kimberly.
Donald doesn't. Listen, I should call somebody at this defense fund because that money is going to either buy him a new airplane, it's going to pay for some of the fines and liens that he's going to end up probably having on his property after the New York Attorney General finishes with him. But, Mike, if I can sort of just steer the conversation for a quick second. Did you have a chance yesterday to watch the Faith and Freedom Coalition? Because I actually did. And there was something that really just jumped out at me. Because, and I've been talking to you now for years about this. And it's also covered heavily in the book, Disloyal, that Donald Trump is like a mob boss and that he talks in code. Did you notice that yesterday as well?
Yes, of course. And that really is the central thing and the rub for me when it comes to Trump. You and I have both seen how he operates firsthand, right? Nothing happens in Trump world without him wanting it to happen. I mean, from the color of the tile in a bathroom to where that $250 million is going to go. So what does it say about this overall effort and the level of involvement by Donald Trump that he encouraged this fundraising under false pretenses? I mean, it doesn't matter whether Donald Trump knew the minutia of the detail. He just needed to know that he was getting what he wanted out of it.
Right. He's a bottom line guy. Let's not forget that this isn't the first grift. Let's not forget about the Presidential Inaugural Committee. That fund, which raised over $107 million. I was involved in that. In terms of fundraising, nobody knows there's like $70 million that's missing for many, many years. I mean, it's a terrible thing that people expect that their money is supposed to go to where, it's expected to go. And that doesn't work in Trump world. It's whatever Donald wants. I mean, that's how it was in the White House. It's how it was at the Trump Organization. And it's the way it's going to be going forward because look, I've constantly said this, and again, this goes right back to some of the comments he made yesterday at that coalition, when he turned around and he said, that he may seek a second term in 2024, very seriously, right? And then he also talked, of course, about giving the pardons to hundreds of people that were arrested in the wake of the January 6th attack on the Capitol. And the reason I bring this up is because it goes right into the grift. And there's sort of like two things, Mike, that we have to unpack here, right? And again, it goes right back to Donald being a mob boss and speaking in code first, right? The first part of this is you have to look and see what's going on here. Television, he's dangling pardons. He's done this before, because what he's really saying here is that he doesn't want these people to cooperate. And if you don't cooperate, then I'll pardon you. And here's where the grift comes in, right? First and foremost, he's not going to become president again. And second, he doesn't know you. And more importantly, he doesn't care about you. But here's the fundraising grift, all right? By saying, if I run and if I seek a second term, what's he doing? He's keeping these people engaged. It goes right back to the conversation on how is he going to keep the flow of money, right, into his coffers. I mean, look, at the end of the day, you could say whatever you want about Donald Trump. Donald Trump is the greatest grifter in the history of the United States, plain and simple.
Michael Cohen, I knew you bring the bacon to breakfast this morning. Thank you, my friend.